alias de nuestro buen amigo Enrique Push, va a estar aquí platicando con Andy Lanning. Cabe mencionar que Andy Lanning, entre su larga carrera en el medio del cómic, también es muy reconocido, como ya saben ustedes, como uno de los escritores del cómic de Guardians of the Galaxy. Skype, ¿qué nos puedes decir de Andy? Unos pocos datos generales antes de arrancar tu entrevista.
Bueno, pues, ¿qué onda? Yo soy Spike y pues nuestro invitado, Andy Lanning, empezó trabajando en Marvel UK, empezó trabajando en títulos como Ghostbusters y él también ha hecho muchas cosas para Marvel y para DC. Para Marvel, esencialmente, junto con Dan Abnett, reestructuró todo lo que es el universo cósmico a partir de su tiempo en Nova como escritor. A pesar de que él es también el tintador y es un artista gráfico, a partir de Nova empezó a tomar la pauta que dejó Keith Giffen. Empezó con todos estos eventos como Annihilation Conquest, de donde provienen Guardians of the Galaxy, que era un título de los 60s de Marvel, que de hecho ni siquiera estaba en su propio cómic, salió en Marvel Comic Presents número 19. Y tenía un equipo de personajes totalmente diferentes que venían de una dimensión alternativa y del futuro de esa dimensión, o sea, estaba muy alejado del universo. Después de Annihilation Conquest, lo que hace es reestructurar la idea de Guardians of the Galaxy para darle un tono más gracioso, o no gracioso, sino para bajarle un poco el nivel de solemnidad que tenía este universo con las peleas entre Reyes y Black Bolt y los Kree y todo eso. Listos para saludar a Andy.
Hey Andy, how you doing?
Saluden a Andy todos. Hi Andy.
Hey. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we're cool. How you doing, Andy?
I'm fine, thank you. Hello, everybody.
Did you expect this many people?
No, I actually expected.
Well, let's.
I'm joking.
Let's start. Why don't you introduce yourself for the audience? Candy se presente, ¿no? Con todos. Why don't you tell us something about you, about your work, about your career?
Okay, so I've been working in the comic industry now for over 25 years. Which is ridiculous because it makes me very, very old indeed. I've worked for Marvel and DC in that time. I think I've written and drawn almost every comic character that you can think of. So yeah, it's amazing over that amount of time. I've been very, very lucky that I actually started work before I finished my college course, so I've never had a proper job.
Okay, let me.
My mum and dad like to call it. So I've always been working in the comic industry.
Let me translate for the guys.
Okay.
Bueno, Andy nos dice que lleva trabajando en la industria 25 años, lo cual no le gusta porque lo hace realmente viejo. Ha trabajado para Marvel y DC con el personaje que se les ocurra, él ha trabajado con él. Y él empezó a trabajar, de hecho, antes de terminar su carrera, él empezó a trabajar en los cómics antes de terminar su carrera universitaria. Andy,
I got a question for you. After taking over Kid Giffen with the Cosmic Universe, how did you guys come up with the idea of making a new Guardians of the Galaxy? What motivated the new Guardians?
So, well, I'll do this in little chunks so you can translate as we go. So rather than you doing one big one, yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. So, we wrote the Nova series of Annihilation. That Keith Giffen was the overall architect of that story with Andy. We got to launch a Nova ongoing book after that, and that led us to write and to be the architects of the next Annihilation event, which was called Annihilation Conquest. So do you want to translate that?
Yeah, sure.
Bueno, todo empezó con Keith Giffen cuando estaba haciendo su trabajo en el universo cósmico del cual él era el arquitecto, y ellos estaban haciendo Nova, Dan Abnett y Andy Lanning. Y después de que terminó ese evento necesitaban seguir Marvel como compañía sacando una serie de eventos cósmicos, y fue cuando se les pasó la estafeta con el evento de Annihilation Conquest.
Okay, man, you can continue.
Okay, so whereas he just wrote one story as part of the main Annihilation, Keith wrote a story as part of Annihilation Conquest that involved Star-Lord, and Keith put that book together with Star-Lord, Groot, Rocket Raccoon, Bug, and that became the genesis and the springboard for what then became the Guardians of the Galaxy book.
Y bueno, Keith Giffen dentro de esta serie de Annihilation Conquest escribió una miniserie con Star-Lord, donde también se introdujeron personajes como Groot, como Bug, como Mantis, y ahí fue de donde nació la idea de tomar esos personajes y hacer Guardians of the Galaxy. Vamos a preguntarle si le gustaban los primeros Guardians of the Galaxy.
Did you like the first Guardians of the Galaxy? Because as we know, they were in the 60s and very different concept. What?
Yes. Yeah, well, in fact, what happened was after Annihilation Conquest, they wanted to create a team book to go with the solo book of Nova, and Bill Roseman, who was our editor, came to Dan Abnett and myself and asked us to put the concept together, and I believe Bill was the one who said we can use the name Guardians of the Galaxy, and I'd read the original version and the Jim Valentino version that was out in the 80s and 90s, so I was a fan of those books. But what we did with our version is basically create a brand new team and just give them the name of the Guardians of the Galaxy.
Bueno, lo que nos cuenta es que su editor les pidió que hicieran un cómic con un equipo, y los Guardians of the Galaxy de los 60s que estuvieron saliendo esporádicamente en Marvel Comics Presents, y después Jim Valentino tomó el cómic en los 90s. Él dice que él lo leyó todo y que Marvel les dijo, pueden usar este nombre de Guardians of the Galaxy para hacer este nuevo título.
And the cool thing with it as well was the fact that because the original Guardians of the Galaxy was set in the future, that book still hasn't happened yet.
Y lo padre de eso es que los Guardianes de la Galaxia, los viejitos, de hecho, como fueron desarrollados en el futuro dentro de su canon, pues aún no pasaron en lo que estaban ellos sacando de Guardians of the Galaxy.
So what you're saying is that you made it in a way that it could be like a prequel to the old Guardians.
Es como una precuela de los viejos Guardianes.
And why did you decide to start including these characters such as Major Victory and Starhawk?
Okay, so because we were fans of the original Guardians of the Galaxy, we wanted our book to be connected to that and to be and to have some sort of common continuity. So the fact that we could play with time travel and things like that meant that we absolutely wanted to get Vance Astro in there, because he exists at various points in Marvel history anyway, and Starhawk was just a great character to mess around with, because he or she was always a very enigmatic character, but what we did by putting them in there, it gave the feeling that continuity wise we could end up in the original Guardians storyline at some point.
Bueno, lo que nos cuenta es como se introdujeron personajes de los viejos Guardians como Major Victory, Vance Astro, Starhawk, lo que ellos querían hacer es darle esta continuidad a la precuela y que toda la saga de los Guardians of the Galaxy acabara, toda la saga que ellos escribieron pudiera ser considerada como la primera parte de lo que se hizo en el pasado con estos personajes.
Which of the Guardians is your favorite, by the way? I see you have a lot of Rocket Raccoons and stuff.
This is my little Guardians of the Galaxy shrine. Yeah, I think you have to say Rocket and Groot are just such fun to write, and what's really cool about the fact that the film is out now is that everybody has got the same affection for Rocket and Groot that I had writing them, and the fact that James Gunn was a big fan of the comic, and he's managed to take, you know, our affection for those characters and bring it to the big screen. So now Rocket and Groot are everybody's favorite characters.
Y bueno, nos dice que sus personajes favoritos de los Guardians actuales son Rocket y Groot, y que gracias al trabajo de James Gunn en la película, pues básicamente se han vuelto los personajes favoritos de todos, y que son unos personajes muy divertidos de escribir.
Go, say I am Groot.
Yes. Well, we said, which is we had to come up with different ways for him to say I am Groot, which was I am Groot, I am Groot, I am Groot.
Y pues como Groot solo puede decir 3 palabras, tuvieron que ser creativos para encontrar varias maneras de decir I am Groot y que significaran diferentes cosas en el cómic.
So, Andy, why is it, in spite of you being like a Nova veteran, you didn't include such a character in your story?
I'm sorry, you broke up halfway through that. Can you say that one more time?
Yeah, sure. Why is it that Nova didn't make it to the team in spite of you guys being like the veterans of the book?
Maybe we already had Nova going in his own book, and so we wanted to keep his stories separate to the Guardian stories. And we always knew at some point he was going to cross over with the Guardians. And the really cool thing about the Guardians when we were writing it was that none of those characters appeared in any other book, and nobody was doing anything with those characters. And our mission was to make those characters interesting again, because we were really big fans of the cosmic stories ourselves. So we wanted people to be as bigger fans as we were. So if we had Nova in there, he would have been appearing in 2 books at the same time, and that always makes it a little bit complicated. So we wanted to keep it nice and uncomplicated, and also, you know, really focus on the characters that we had in both books.
Okay.
Yo le hice la pregunta a Andy de por qué no había incluido a Nova, si es un personaje del que ya su equipo con Dan Abnett eran veteranos, y lo que dice es que pues Nova ya tenía su título, y lo que querían hacer era más que nada exponer a estos personajes que no salían en ningún otro lado, y que de todas maneras ellos sabían que en cierto punto de la continuidad cósmica del universo Marvel se iban a encontrar. Y como él es muy fan de estos personajes cósmicos, pues quería darle el chance a unos nuevos guardianes de la galaxia.
So how does the Guardians of the Galaxy fit in this cosmic universe that was created in a very solemn way with such dark characters like Thanos? Like it's like it's a fun book to read. It's not like this grim and gritty or solemn kind of story. How did they fit in this scheme?
Well, again, because we had the Nova was the more serious of the 2 books. So if you read them side by side, it was like Nova was the grim and gritty soldier in space book. And so we wanted the Guardians to be a completely different feeling to that, because, you know, we're writing 2 books, so you want to keep yourself interested as much as your audience. And so we decided just to really have fun with the Guardians, and we did that from the get-go. And I think, you know, obviously we've been proven that was the right approach, was to do comics that we would, you know, had fun reading as kids ourselves. And it's always, you know, always end up writing for yourself anyway, and so Dan and I had a great deal of fun writing The Guardians, and hopefully people picked up on that.
Le hice la pregunta de por qué el cómic de Guardians of the Galaxy, cuando lo retomaron, tenía un tono tan ligero, tan amistoso, tan divertido, a pesar de que el universo cósmico usualmente es muy pesado y tiene personajes como Thanos. Y nos dice que, pues, que por ejemplo, ellos estaban trabajando en 2 títulos, que eran Nova y Guardians, y Nova ya era un soldado rudo. Entonces lo que querían hacer era cambiarle un poco el tono, y aparte, como ellos mismos estaban trabajando en 2 títulos y no querían hacer lo mismo, y al final del día están escribiendo también para ellos mismos, decidieron darle ese giro, y lo que nos comenta es que parece que fue la decisión correcta, porque pues, ahora ya todos, hasta mi mamá sabe quiénes son los Guardians of the Galaxy.
So anyway, Andy, how did you feel when you were told that your take on the Guardians of the Galaxy was going to be made into a summer blockbuster, a big movie?
Well, it was very odd. I mean, we have an expression over here called, which is gobsmacked, which is what we were. We were stunned and amazed by it, and incredibly excited. Because it seemed to be such a left field thing. It just came out of nowhere. But apparently, and I've learned this since, that the Marvel guys on the West Coast who are in the LA offices, which are all to do with the film stuff, they themselves were big fans of the cosmic stuff and of the Guardians of the Galaxy book. So when they came to them doing a brand new project, a project that wasn't connected with the Avengers or the existing things, apparently Guardians was quite near the top of the list, which is brilliant.
Bueno, le pregunté a Andy que cómo había tomado la noticia de que de la noche a la mañana Guardians of the Galaxy iba a ser una película del verano que iba a tener un presupuesto muy grande. Creo que le metieron $200 millones, y lo que nos dijo es que pues estaba impactado porque él no sabía el alcance que tenía, y lo que pasó fue que en las oficinas de la costa oeste de Marvel, que están en California, resulta que la gente que trabaja ahí es muy fan de todo lo que es el universo cósmico, y así fue como se dio este pequeño experimento de Guardians of the Galaxy.
So I hear you actually went to the set and all. What was your involvement with the movie? Like, were you a consultant, or what happened there?
No, we weren't consultants, but James Gunn, I actually tweeted James Gunn when I saw him. Once we learned he was the director on the movie, I followed him on Twitter and saw that he was tweeting from London. So I tweeted him back, and he invited Dan and myself down to the studios for a set visit. In fact, we had 2 set visits, and the first one was when they were in pre-production, so we got to see all of the character concept, the aliens and the world concepts, as well as to read the script. And James, like I said, was very generous with his praise, and the fact that he based the film on the flavour and the spirit of the comic book, because he was a fan of the comic book. And so, like I say, we were involved in it. We got to talk to everybody, and the second visit we got to meet the cast and the crew. Dan and I got interviewed, and I think we'll appear on the DVD extras as well. So it was very enjoyable and a very privileged and special thing that we ended up doing there.
Bueno, yo le pregunté a Andy que cómo, porque de hecho ellos fueron invitados al set de Guardians of the Galaxy, y me cuenta que la experiencia fue la siguiente. Un día, cuando se enteró de lo de la película, él seguía en Twitter a James Gunn y se dio cuenta de que estaban grabando en Londres, entonces le mandó un tweet, y James fue lo suficientemente amable para invitarlo, tanto a él como a Dan, a una visita del set, que de hecho me dice que hicieron 2. En la primera visita lo que pasó fue que estuvieron viendo cómo estaba el arte conceptual y todo lo que se refiere a la preproducción, y en la segunda lo que pasó fue que pues conocieron al cast, al crew, y que de hecho tanto Andy como Dan parece que van a hacer una aparición en los extras del DVD de Guardians of the Galaxy.
You were also invited to make the comic book prequel for the project. How did that land? You can make your sales pitch now.
Yeah, that was James. They asked us to specifically to write those prequel comics based around some of the material that is in the screenplay, but didn't actually get to make it on screen. So a lot of Nebula and Gamora's rivalry was within the script, but like I say, didn't actually get to make it on screen. So James asked us to write those stories. So again, that was very generous of him, and so it was great fun to go back to writing characters that we hadn't written for a couple of years, and also to play with Rocket and Groot again, which is always fun.
Bueno, no sé si sepan, pero se produjo una precuela en forma de cómic para Guardians of the Galaxy que el mismo James les pidió de favor que si podían hacer a Andy y Dan, y lo que nos dice es que el proyecto se basó en cosas que estaban en el guión pero que no salieron como tal en la película. Por ejemplo, lo que nos dice es que en esta precuela se desarrolla la rivalidad entre Nebula y Gamora, y y que también estaba encantado porque desde hace años no trabajaba con Groot y Rocket, y dice que siempre es un placer.
So, how do you like the movie? Any comments about the film?
Yeah, well, I mean, I loved the script when we read it. Before they'd even started filming it, the script was fantastic. I love what James had brought to the script, which was, the sense of fun and adventure that we had in the comic book, and also the wonderful soundtrack, which was there from the very beginning, right from in the screenplay. Each scene has got a soundtrack listing with it, and I know that when they were filming certain scenes, they were playing the music to go along with the scene. So the film, actually then seeing what we had read as a brilliant script, actually translated into a fantastic visual, because when we were on set and they hadn't finished the CG for Rocket and Groot, they only had tests for them, so getting to see Rocket and Groot realised as absolutely perfect characters that were as real as the real people there. Again, to see things like Nowhere and Cosmo and the Xandar and places in the Marvel Universe absolutely brilliantly realised was fantastic. I love the film. I've seen it twice now, and I'm going to go and see it again next week for a third time. Yeah, I can't get enough of it. It's great.
Bueno, le pregunté cuál era la opinión que tenía de la película ya realizada de Guardians of the Galaxy, y dice que desde el primer momento que leyó el guión, le pareció que la visión de James Gunn era maravillosa, y que, por cierto, también el soundtrack estaba contemplado dentro del guión, que cada escena tenía una lista de canciones que tomaran el ambiente de esa escena, que quedaran perfectamente, y por eso el soundtrack es tan maravilloso. Después, que nos dice que en la segunda visita que hizo al set tuvo la oportunidad de ver cómo se materializaban a la perfección personajes como Groot y como Rocket Raccoon, que aunque cuando él fue al set no estaban ya terminados, vio todas las pruebas que se hicieron para llegar a ese punto final de las gráficas computarizadas, y nos dice que le ha gustado tanto que la ha visto 2 veces, y que la próxima semana probablemente la va a ver una tercera vez.
So anyway, would you like to take some of the audience's questions?
Yes, by all means.
¿Alguien tiene alguna pregunta que le quiera hacer a Andy? ¿Te puedes acercar para hacer la pregunta? Para que te escuchen.
My friend here is asking, what's Howard the Duck doing at the end scene?
His guess is as good as mine.
Que lo que tú opinas es igual que la opinión de él, porque no sabe. ¿Alguien más tiene preguntas para Andy?
En el live stream preguntan que si le gustó cómo adaptaron sus Guardians of the Galaxy en la película.
Ya contestamos eso, ¿no? ¿Nadie más tiene preguntas para Andy? ¿No? No sean tímidos, no lo está viendo. Bueno, más o menos. Okay.
Could you give us a tour of your studio? Is that your studio, by the way?
Yes, yeah. If you want, and I've got you on the iMac, so you can do this side of the studio. Okay, so right.
Nos va a dar un tour de esto.
Here we go. So, right, there's the door to the. That's to my kitchen. Okay. So,
la puerta a la cocina.
Right, and we'll start here, and we have filing cabinets full of comics.
Gabinetes repletos de cómics.
Lots and lots of DVDs.
Muchos DVDs.
Right, we go to. Oh yeah, look, some football trophies.
Trofeos que se ganó del fútbol.
Yes, I've got more trophies than the England football team.
Tiene más trofeos que el equipo inglés de fútbol.
And whoops, there we go. We've got books and my little Guardians. There's the Nova helmet. I don't know if you can see that.
Ahí tiene sus libros y su altar a los guardianes y su casco de Nova.
Like I say, lots and lots of copies of comics that I've worked on, plus books that collected my own collected comics.
Muchas copias de los cómics que le han hecho.
Okay, and you see the white cabinet there is a planch chest that's full of old artwork.
El gabinete blanco que tiene ahí está lleno de arte original viejito.
Made by yourself or by of things you buy?
That's mainly my stuff. Those are pages and very old stuff as well, because a lot of the new stuff goes to an American art dealer who does my stuff at the moment. So those are pages from some of the first comics I worked on, like Hokum and Hex, Ghostbusters, and a comic I created for Marvel UK called the Sleaze Brothers. So there's lots of pages of that stuff in there.
En ese gabinete lo que tiene más que nada es arte viejito de él, como de los cómics que hizo en Marvel UK como Ghostbusters, y lo que nos dice es que pues, el arte que hace nuevo realmente se va a un subastador que se encarga de distribuir ese arte.
And so then we go around from there. That's my drawing board.
Ahí tiene su respirador.
And this will be a quick one. That's my Venom piece for the convention.
You just spoiled it, man. You just spoiled it.
Y ahí está el Venom que va a salir en el sketchbook de la convención. Ya tienes un spoiler aquí desde Inglaterra.
And I don't know if you can see on the wall there, I've got some toys. These are based on characters that I've written. And in the very far back there is that's my Simpsons collection.
Y en esta parte de arriba tiene su colección de muñecos, más que nada cosas, muñecos que son de personajes en los que ha trabajado, y su colección de muñecos de los Simpsons.
And well, here we go.
We had a question. Is there a chance that you could grab back the comics from the Marvel U, especially Guardians of the Galaxy again?
What if I could do what again? Go back and write them?
Yes.
Yeah. There's always that option. You get to. I've always looked at writing comics as you get the opportunity to play with somebody else's toys for a while. Yeah, and you know, I'd love to go back and write some more Guardians of the Galaxy stuff. It may not be with Dan because he's kind of moved on to do his own thing now. But recently did a story with Ron Mars, which was drawn by Gustavo Durante, which I really enjoyed doing. So there could be some more stuff there. So you know. You can always go back and pick up these stories because we had lots of other extra stories that we didn't actually get to tell. So yeah, fingers crossed. You never know at some point.
Bueno, Alexis hizo la pregunta de que si existiría en el futuro alguna oportunidad de que Andy regresara a Guardians of the Galaxy. Lo que nos dice es que pues trabajando con los cómics, especialmente con las compañías, siempre está la posibilidad de agarrar los juguetes de la compañía. Y de hecho hace poquito escribió Guardians of the Galaxy, me parece que el número 14 junto con Ron Mars, y que por él estaría encantado porque de hecho quedaron muchas historias sin contar sobre estos personajes. ¿Alguien más tiene preguntas para Andy? Aprovechen porque luego se va al internet. Es que él no dirigió la película. Él no escribió la película.
We have a question here about Adam Warlock. Why do you think he didn't make the movie? Do you have any idea about it?
Well, I know that they had to limit the number of characters in the film because each one of those characters had to be introduced, and you had to understand who they were and get to know the character. So that automatically meant that they had to keep it to a small team. You know, I mean, and even then, you've still got Star-Lord, Gamora, Drax, Rocket, and Groot as all the bad guys. You've got to introduce a lot of characters there. Adam Warlock has got a really, really complicated backstory, and I think it would have made the whole film. It would have just swayed it to Guardians. It would have, Adam Warlock's his own film, I think, at some point.
Bueno, aquí mi amigo nos preguntaba que por qué Adam Warlock no estuvo en la película y Andy lo que dice es que él considera que pues el cine es un medio distinto donde tienes solo un espacio para presentar tantos personajes. Se presentaron 5 personajes en esta película y especialmente Adam Warlock, que tiene una continuidad muy pesada, hubiera hecho que la película no fuera tan dinámica como resultó ser al final del día. ¿Alguna otra pregunta del público?
¿Qué podemos esperar de él? ¿Qué podemos esperar
de él? About the comic, the Guardians of the Galaxy comic, the deal you had was only for one comic, or is there more coming from Andy Lanning and the Guardians of the Galaxy?
No, that was just a one-off comic, but I would say that there is more. You know, there's probably some more stuff coming down in the future, and hopefully by the time of the convention in November, I might have some more news. Okay.
Que lo que él hizo en el número 14 fue nada más cuestión de una vez, pero él espera que en el futuro haya más cosas y que probablemente para cuando sea la convención en noviembre todavía tenga más noticias al respecto. ¿Alguien más tiene preguntas? ¿Sí?
Al final de Thanos Imperative, ¿qué le pasó a Star-Lord?
We have a question here about Star-Lord and Thanos. Nova. After Thanos Imperative, what happened to Star-Lord and Nova?
Yeah, that's a good question because there's 2 answers to that, and this is kind of like Schrodinger's cat. You know the physics problem of Schrodinger's cat, where if you open the box, he could be dead, or if you leave him in the box, he's alive. There's a version of that story that Dan and I had our own ideas about what we wanted to happen with them and how we were going to bring them back, and then there's the version that Brian Michael Bendis has got, and that's the version that at the moment is going to be told in, I believe, in Guardians of the Galaxy issue 18.
Lo que nos dice es que la pregunta es como el cuestionamiento físico del gato de Schrödinger, donde se puede pensar que un gato en una caja está vivo y está muerto al mismo tiempo. Y Dan y Andy tenían una versión de lo que había pasado con ellos, pero pues, como ahorita el título lo tiene Brian Michael Bendis, se va a seguir con el planteamiento que él hizo, y él dice que probablemente en el número 18 lo vayas a obtener la respuesta.
Which is your ending with Nova?
That would be really unfair to Bendis, because you know, then you'd be comparing the two, and it might even be very unfair to us, because his might be better. I haven't read it yet, so I don't know.
Dice que no sería justo decir, porque pues, se prestaría para comparaciones y que gente podría pensar que el de ellos es mejor, aunque dice Andy que Brian escribe mejor, que él tampoco sabe el de Brian. ¿Alguna otra pregunta?
Oh,
and also, we actually didn't get to write ours, so we only had the idea that we were going to bring them back. We hadn't sat down to work it out, because bizarrely enough, we a lot of the stuff we wrote for the Guardians we didn't have worked out in advance. I don't know if people are aware of this, but the fact that Thanos was inside the cocoon, we only decided on who and what was inside the cocoon about 3 issues before we revealed it.
Y lo que nos dice es que de hecho no lo tenían escrito tal cual, que tenían una idea de lo que querían que pasara, y que por ejemplo con lo de Thanos desarrollaron solo 3 números antes de que eso pasara. ¿Alguna otra pregunta? No, nada, tienen una... A ver. Sí.
Would you ever consider writing the old Guardians of the Galaxy, you know, the future guys, in their own future?
Well, in fact, bizarrely enough, Dan is doing a series called Guardians 3000 that comes out, I think, at in the fall, which is stories from that continuity, from the continuity of the Charlie 27, Yondu, and Martin X, and all those characters. So Dan's actually doing that. But for my own, I love those characters. I think they're great fun. But I must say, for me to go back to doing cosmic stuff now, I personally would want to do some more stories with the Guardians team. Setting nowhere with Cosmo and all the characters that we created and messed around with. It would be great fun.
Yeah, that's actually been drawn by a Mexican guy.
Is that right? Yeah, he's very good too. Very good. I really like his stuff.
Bueno, lo que nos dice al respecto de Andy, de tomar los personajes de Guardians de los 60s que están en el futuro, y a pesar de que son de los 60s, es que de hecho Dan Abnett, que era su compañero al momento de escribir, va a hacer una serie que sale en el otoño, que se llama Guardians 3000, Guardians 3000, que va a tener a Major Victory, a Yondu, a Martin X, y de hecho va a ser dibujado por un talento mexicano, Gerardo Sandoval. ¿Alguna otra pregunta?
What's your take on the adaptation of the Nova Corps in the movie?
I liked it. It's a good start, because they didn't go into a lot of detail with it. I spoke to James Gunn when we saw the initial concepts for the Nova Corps, and there were lots of different variations of the uniform, but none of which looked like the Nova Centurion. And James said that the Nova Corps we see in Guardians of the Galaxy are basically the more law enforcement based one, but a lot more to do with their prison officers and low level ground-based ones, and so take that and use that as a springboard to develop the Nova Centurions and the Nova Corps properly. And I would like to think and hope that Nova would get his own chance at a movie where they actually develop that based on this chance. And the good thing with it though is that James left that open. He didn't do anything definitive, so the sky's the limit as far as Nova's concerned, because they've been introduced now. We know that Xandar's there. We know there is a Nova sort of like peacekeeping force. So it'd be great to see how they develop that idea. I mean, I've got my own ideas how they could do it based on the fact that they've now got the power gem. That could become the Nova Force as far as I'm concerned. So, but hey, it'll be interesting to see what they do with it.
Bueno, lo que nos explica Andy sobre tu pregunta de cuál fue su opinión sobre el Nova Core es que a él le pareció que está bien manejado porque lo hace a un nivel básico. James Gunn le enseñó de hecho todos los diseños que tenían al respecto de todo este equipo, que no son los centuriones, sino son todos los de más bajo nivel que están con los prisioneros y todo eso, como los policías de a pie, y que a él le gusta la idea de que también está muy abierto lo que hizo con respecto a Nova. Él espera que se pueda hacer una película a futuro con el personaje, y que pues él tiene ideas de cómo hacerlo. Por ejemplo, ahora que tienen la gema de poder ahí guardada, pues eso podría ser el inicio del nuevo Nova Core.
Oh, welcome back.
I don't know what happened again there.
It's okay. We have another question that. Yep. If there's a sequel, which character we did not see from the Guardians of the Galaxy would you like to see? I don't know, Quasar or Mantis or.
I'm very biased there. I would like to see Cosmo come back and take his rightful role as the security chief of Nowhere.
Bueno, que en esa pregunta tiene su corazón con Cosmo, porque le gustaría ahora verlo ya trabajando en Nowhere, siendo el perro que da las órdenes y que trae a todos con la mente. Sí, la pregunta que se hizo fue, en una secuela futura de Guardians of the Galaxy, ¿qué le gustaría ver de los personajes del cómic que no salieron, así como son Mantis o Borg o Quasar? ¿Alguna otra pregunta? ¿Cuál es tu pregunta, amigo? Nos preguntan aquí que qué le pareció el cast.
How much do you like the cast of Guardians of the Galaxy? The castings.
Yeah, I thought they were brilliant. We said very early on when we got to see them filming, we got to see them filming a lot of sequences with Chris Pratt in the Milano at the controls, and we said when we came out of that in the same way that you can't think of anybody other than Robert Downey Jr. being Tony Stark, you cannot think of anybody else now than Chris Pratt being Star-Lord, and I think that's fantastic. And I think the same goes for all the other characters. Dave Bautista was hilarious as Drax. One of my favourite lines for me and my kids at the moment is "Do not call me a thesaurus." So we keep throwing that one backwards and forwards. And I think Bradley Cooper and Vin Diesel were absolutely inspired. Rocket Raccoon was just such a great character, and the way he voiced it was perfect. And the same goes for Zoe Saldana. Zoe Saldana now has appeared in 3 of the biggest sort of science fiction tentpole movies you'd ever want to see. Star Trek, Avatar, and now Guardians, and she was different colours in all of them.
Bueno, la pregunta sobre qué le pareció el casting de Guardians of the Galaxy, lo que nos cuenta es que de hecho tuvo oportunidad de ver a Chris Pratt en el set, y cuando estaban haciendo escenas en el Milano, y nos dice que así como la gente piensa en Iron Man y Robert Downey Jr., que ya no se pueden separar, él es así como ve a Chris Pratt, y también le encanta la manera en la que Bautista tomó al personaje, y que de hecho él mismo con sus hijos se la pasan hablando se la pasan tirándose esta línea que le dijeron de que no me llames un tesauro. También dice que Zoe Saldana, pues hay que reconocer que ya ha estado en 3 de las grandes películas de ficción científica de los últimos años, que son Avatar, Star Trek y Guardians of the Galaxy. Y también dice que la interpretación de Bradley Cooper y de Vin Diesel como Rocket Raccoon y Groot fue pues nada más que inspirada. ¿Alguien más tiene preguntas? Primero con todo el mundo.
Did you like how they made Thanos and the impact the scene made?
What? I'm sorry, can you say that again, mate? You paused halfway through.
What do you think about the way they presented Thanos?
Oh, the Thanos stuff with Josh Brolin, yeah?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, just brilliant, absolutely brilliant. The fact that he's sitting on a great big throne smiling is just it couldn't be more Thanos.
¿Qué le pareció brillante y la manera en la que presentan a Thanos en el trono con esta sonrisota de Josh Brolin? Pues es Thanos. ¿Cuál era tu pregunta?
¿Cuál es su opinión de que ahora Venom y Captain Marvel pertenezcan al equipo y en un momento también hagan
They are asking, what's your opinion about Venom and Captain Marvel and Iron Man making it to the Guardians of the Galaxy?
I don't know. I mean, it'd be very interesting to see where they go with the Earth-based stuff and the cosmic stuff, because talking to the producers, they liked the idea that they were able to take one of their properties that is totally different to the Earth-based stuff and tell their stories. But you just know that at some point both of those are going to cross over. They would be missing a massive opportunity not to have the Avengers and the Guardians either clash or cross over at some point. So, I'm a comics fan. Anytime you get to have a crossover between teams is like, yes, please.
I think he was talking about the comic book with Brian that has that Iron Man was part of the team and Venom is now over there and.
Yeah. Oh no. And again, that was, and I don't know, where they'll go with that and stuff, because obviously that's Brian's realm. But when we were writing the book, we wanted to create a new title. When we knew we were going to be cancelling the Guardians, we wanted to create a new title called Cosmic Avengers. And the idea was that one of the Avengers from the Earth-based team would have a tour of duty with the Guardians of the Galaxy, so that gave us the chance to guest star characters like Iron Man and Spider-Man. We wanted to see Spider-Man in space because that would be hilarious. Just to try and see him swinging around in Zero-G would be particularly funny. So I think that idea that you can take some of the Earth-based heroes and throw them into space onto the space team is really cool. Whether that makes it into the films or the film continuity is kind of like I say, is a decision that those guys will have to make.
Pues, primero nos contestó que le gusta lo de las películas, que en algún momento iban a tener que hacer un crossover con los Avengers, y sobre lo que escribe Brian Michael Bendis con estos personajes que mencionas de Venom y Captain Marvel y Iron Man que estuvo en el equipo, es que pues como el trabajo de Brian Michael Bendis le gusta, y de hecho ellos antes de que cancelaran Guardians tenían la idea de hacer un nuevo título que se llamaba Cosmic Avengers, donde podrían traer, por ejemplo, a Capitán América o a Spider-Man. ¿Qué le gustaría ver, por ejemplo, cómo interactúa Spider-Man en el espacio? Que sería muy gracioso verlo con gravedad cero y balanceándose por todas partes. Tenemos una última pregunta. ¿Alguien quiere hacer la última pregunta? ¿Nadie quiere hacer una última pregunta? Es su última oportunidad. A ver, aquí tenemos una.
This is the last question. From your work, which is your favorite? The favorite work you've ever done in comic books? Your favorite comic book by yourself?
Ooh. I think the stuff I'm most proud of has to be the War of Kings run that goes into the Thanos Imperative. Because we had some fantastic artists who we had a massive sort of like epic story to tell there. So I'm really, really proud of that. On the writing side of things, on the inking front, any time I get to work with my old buddy Phil Jimenez is my favourite stuff. So that changes because it's whatever the next job is. But I think writing wise, I can look back on that run that goes from the War of Kings right the way up to Thanos Imperative, and I think it's some of the best stuff. It's stuff that I can still go back now and read and not cringe.
Y la respuesta a la pregunta que fue cuál es su trabajo favorito hecho por él mismo es que como escritor lo que más le gusta es toda la saga de War of the Kings, donde tuvo la oportunidad de hacer algo muy épico, muy grande y de colaborar con mucha gente muy talentosa, que fue Eso es a lo que puede voltear a ver como escritor y no fruncir el ceño. Y como intentador, cualquier cosa que haga con Gil Jiménez es lo que más le gusta. O sea, puede ser el título que sea, pero mientras trabaje con Gil Jiménez, él está encantado.
Well, Andy, thank you very much for your time, and we hope we'll get to see you soon, and we're waiting for it. Have a nice night.
Okay. I'll hopefully see you all in November. Thank you very much.
Digan adiós.
Thank you. Good night. Good night.